You're now watching the Good, Bad, and Ugly podcast, featuring Kevin Bunk, John Downs, and Reese Jantz. All right, after a 2-week hiatus, we're finally back. The Good, Bad, and Ugly. It's Tuesday of Week 17, heading into Week 18, our first 18-week season in the NFL. And boy, did Week 17 bring us just a absolute, I don't even have words to describe what we saw in Week 17. Just a load of incredibly amazing scenes in Week 17. As always, I'm here with Reese and JD. How you guys doing?
How are we doing? Excited to be back.
Yeah, my pleasure to be here, KB. My pleasure to wrap up Week 17 and then unfortunately go into Week 18 and have our last regular season episode next week. It sucks that the season's almost over, but this is when it starts getting excited. Playoff seeding's starting to finalize itself out, and January football is the best, man.
Yeah, we normally would be entering wild card weekend right now, but we get one more week of regular season football. I'm not here to complain about that. I'm here to do quite the opposite, and we can get started with, well, I just first want to say that we're doing a little bit of a different format, so instead of 9 categories, 3 good, 3 bad, 3 ugly, today we have 2 good, 1 bad, 2 uglies, and then we're just going to talk about a load of different stuff afterwards, just to try to tighten up, and then we were reaching for certain categories we felt prior to this, doing 9 categories, teams like Washington getting in for 4-point wins in the teens, and just games that we didn't want to discuss totally. And so I'm happy to be, focused on the playoffs here and then focused on absolute bottom of the barrel stuff in the ugly this week. But we could start with a team that I think is probably the most surprising in a positive light on this season. Actually, the 2 teams we'll talk about are the most surprising teams. The Bengals have absolutely dominated the last few weeks on the offensive side of the ball, picked up a huge win against the Chiefs this week, beat them by 3 at the buzzer on a game-winning field goal. They ran the clock down with a surplus of plays at the goal line. Burrow with another 400-yard game, 446 and 4 touchdowns against Kansas City, outdueled Patrick Mahomes, and they set themselves up as they clinched the AFC North title. Someone finally came to take it, and Reese, you can get us started on your thoughts on the Bengals the last few weeks, and they would have been our good for the last 3 weeks, we said. So,
we always planned on talking about them.
Yeah, so the Bengals have come out, and especially against this Chiefs defense, who has been stellar for the past couple of weeks, they came out and absolutely just shredded apart the Chiefs defense. Jamar Chase he just absolutely solidified Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Joe Burrow is that guy. Joe Burrow is your dream franchise quarterback. He comes in there, he's tough, he's gritty, and he gets the job done, and he does it very effectively. This was a huge statement game for the Bengals. They proved that clearly that they can beat almost anybody in the NFL. And I'm really excited to see this team in the playoffs now, because the way they were playing against the Chiefs, if they play like that and can get hot at the right time, I don't really see many teams being able to stop them on offense. And if their defense can perform just even average, I really like how dangerous this team can be and the possible run that they have at the Super Bowl.
I mean, how fun to watch.
A few weeks ago
how fun to watch are the Bengals, though? Like, really, how fun to watch are they? They're so electric on offense.
Yeah, they're up there.
KB, you go.
Yeah. Sorry, I had a little bit of a lag delay there, so I didn't hear you get started. But I just want to say, a few weeks ago, I had, they were in that category with the Chargers where every week brings the opposite of the prior week, and they've really hit their stride at the perfect time, just like Reese said, dangerous team going into the playoffs now. And a few weeks ago, I was calling for Zach Taylor to be fired, because I was saying, this is a disaster, this guy shouldn't be here anyways, and they're almost better off missing the playoffs by a game just to get this guy out. He might win Coach of the Year now. I mean, what a job by him this year. And JD, you can make all your points you want right now. Pardon me for interrupting.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor, probably too little too late for Coach of the Year, because there's been a lot of good guys who've been doing it consistently all year, like Vrabel, like LaFleur. I think it's time for one of those 2 guys to get it. But Zach Taylor's done a great job. This offense is rejuvenated. And Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, I mean, as long as Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers are Packers, they're the best duo. But Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are going to be one of the best, if not the best duo for like the next 10 years in Cincinnati, as long as all goes well. I love watching them. The game on Sunday was electric, probably the best of the slate. And there's a lot of great games, too. Their wild card matchups, as it stands, they play the Colts, which is a great game, probably one of the best of the wild card weekend, or they could play the Pats, which is also another great game. I don't know if they beat those two teams. They may be one and done, but winning the AFC North for the Bengals is a big step in the right direction, and their defense is worrisome. I know it's the Chiefs. They did get torched, but they've been okay all year. It might cost them, but their offense is going to be able to hang with anybody. If they want to put up 30 points, they're going to put up 30 points. Like Joe Burrow said, F it, Jamar Chase is down there somewhere. 266 yards and 3 touchdowns is absurd. And like you said, Reese, he's locked up Offensive Rookie of the Year. And while we're talking about awards, I think for some reason all year, I guess deservedly, Dak Prescott's been deemed the comeback player of the year. But after the last few weeks, Joe Burrow, in my opinion, is comeback player of the year. I know, I don't know why it's just assumed that it's Dak, maybe because it's a little more gruesome of an injury, but that shouldn't have any effect on it. Joe Burrow tore his ACL. I think he should win comeback player of the year. I think Jamar Chase should win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Zach Taylor should get some votes for Coach of the Year. And they've got a great direction, a great future in the AFC North. The Ravens will always be there, but it should be fun to watch those two rivalries battle it out.
Yeah, and these are not the same old Bengals. They are not the same team that they've been.
Totally different team. And I think they're not getting their respect because they are the Bengals.
Exactly.
Burrow has totally showed that they deserve the respect, that they're a threat for the playoffs. I'm excited. Where do you think that this team stacks up? I know we'll talk about it in the power ranks, but where do you think they stack up against our AFC competitors, mainly the division winners plus the Chargers, I'd say?
I'd say they're top. Right now, if we're going into the playoffs this week, I'd say they're top 4 for me. I think they can easily beat many of these teams as they just beat the Chiefs. I think they would easily. Not easily. I think the Titans would put up a fight, but I think they could beat the Titans pretty soundly.
I also didn't mean to say plus Chargers. I meant to say plus the Colts.
I mean,
Chargers.
If they play like they did Sunday, they're one of the best in the AFC.
No one can beat them besides the Packers.
As it stands, going into the playoffs, I still like the Bills and the Pats, and obviously I like the Titans and Chiefs more.
Yeah.
I like the Colts. Like, it's tough. The AFC's a bunch of good teams that I really like. I really would like to see the Bengals go on a run. I do fear, though, that they are one and done. But a home game in the jungle, Cincinnati fans finally got something to cheer for. They're a passionate bunch. They haven't had much going right. They haven't won a playoff game in a long time. Marvin Lewis had that infamous streak. He always got him there, but couldn't win. I don't know. I don't see them winning a playoff game, but they could. And I hope they do because they're really fun to watch. And I'd love to see them go up against Kansas City again.
Yeah, that would be an awesome rematch for the playoffs. I got nothing else left for the Bengals. I just want to, reiterate that Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, this is becoming the most fun team to watch week in and week out. They had some lumps in the middle of the season that they had to get through, but they are the definition of hitting their stride at the right time. If they can carry it into next week and then into the wild card round, they could certainly put up a fight with anyone in the playoffs. And it's going to be fun to see them play against, hopefully they get past that first round because this is a team I want to see in the divisional round in that final 4 of the AFC. And then hopefully I'd even love to see them go all the way in the AFC. I mean, this is a young team. This is fun. They got good swagger. And Zach Taylor, hats off to Zach Taylor, man. That you've just done an awesome job this season.
And, Joe Mixon kind of gets lost in it all, too, because he's second in the NFL in rushing. He's got 1,200 yards. I know Derrick Henry.
Sling it, too.
I know Derrick Henry's not there, but Joe Mixon is a great runner of the football. And when they need to, he can go get them yards. And then Joe Burrow, who is obviously far and away their franchise quarterback, is going to get them at least 300 yards in the air. Like, this is an electric offense. I just worry about their defense. I know Trey Hendrickson has been great for them. He had a half a sack in, 10 straight games, I think it was. Great signing, but their secondary hasn't been able to sustain much, and against elite offenses like the Titans and the Chiefs and the Colts, you do worry, but I can't wait to watch them go in the playoffs and play a meaningful game.
Yeah,
KB, defense, definitely concerning.
Go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was just going to say, you made a great point with Joe Mixon. There's a reason why Jamar Chase is one-on-one. It's because they have to stack the box against Joe Mixon. There's a reason he has all these touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, T. Higgins,
in the small
great.
sample size that we've got, Mixon, it has not been a huge, like, bell cow type of season, and he's second in the league, and he's the second best running back in the league as far as production goes. So this has been just an incredible season. Everyone on this offense has totally clicked. I love watching them. I hope that I get to watch them for 3-4 more weeks.
Yes.
We can move on to another team that's an absolute surprise. A little bit of a different story, but incredible surprise in the NFC is the Philadelphia Eagles with Nick Sirianni. JD, I know that I'm pretty sure you submitted this topic for the week, and if you want to get us started on it, they've been a pretty fun team to watch as well.
Now, it's not the same story as the Bengals. The Eagles aren't fun to watch. They're not the flashiest team. They run the ball, especially. They lead the NFL in rushing, mainly because Jalen Hurts. I know Miles Sanders has been a bit banged up. It's not always the prettiest, but they get the job done. And they clinch the playoff spot, which is all that matters. Once you get in the dance, it's all about hitting the right, finding the rhythm at the right time, getting hot at the right time. It doesn't feel like... midway through the season, it didn't feel like they were going anywhere, but they put together a few wins. I know they had a soft schedule. They played the NFC East. They played a last-place schedule because they were in last year. But you beat up on the teams you're supposed to beat up on. They play who's on the schedule, and they're in the playoffs. So Nick Sirianni's done a fine job as head coach. I didn't have much faith in him, I'm not going to lie, going into the season. But
I don't think anyone did.
No one did.
Yeah, I mean, Devonta Smith has been great. That's been a great pick. Miles Sanders has been great when on the field. Their offensive line has been fine. Jalen Hurts has got the job done. He can run it. He's an electric player with the ball in his hands. I worry about his deep ball a little bit. He struggles to push the ball down the field, but he wins them games. I don't see them winning a playoff game. Unfortunately, I don't have as much confidence as I do in them as I do in the other NFC teams, but it's a feel-good story in Philly.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on Philly and their schedule a little bit. I was looking over their schedule before we started this, and JD's gone.
Just carry on.
Yeah. So I was looking at their schedule, and they beat Atlanta, Carolina, Detroit, the Broncos, the Saints, the Jets, Giants, and the football team twice. So as good as they've been, they've beat up on the bad teams. They haven't beaten one team above 500 besides the Saints, who are 8-7. So I don't think they're going to win a playoff game. And the big thing for me is I feel like when they're running the ball, if they're not running the ball effectively, everything else falls apart. Jalen Hurts freaks out. If teams are getting pressure on him, he's going to throw an interception. So I really don't think that there's much hope for them in the playoffs. But once again, it's Sunday football. You never know.
JD,
it's any
welcome
given
back.
Sunday. Hey, how we doing?
Yeah, it's been, I don't know. That's not the Wi-Fi. My Mac just sometimes decides to just shut off.
You actually
sound a
much
lot
better.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that first portion saved of this, but we'll see. We'll carry on as if it did.
Yep.
Another thing with the Eagles, when it comes to that playoff game, I actually think that they could be the team that does upset one. Because if they end up in the 7th seed and Dallas ends up with Dallas has lost this week though, so they're not the 2.
Yeah, I have written here that if they were to play the Cowboys, I hate that NFL teams, like these teams are going to play 3 times, and the Cowboys already beat them twice. I hate an NFL team winning 3 straight times against a team. It's impossible, especially against a division rival.
I think what would have to happen is the Saints would have to get in, the Eagles would have to be the 6th seed, and Dallas would have to be the 3 for them to play each other. I could totally see the Eagles winning that third matchup.
Cowboys is the only team I would
Cowboys
really
is the only team I could see. Not even because the Cowboys have been slumping, but just because they're in the same division. Like you said, Reese, beating the team 3 times. We saw it last year with the Bucs and the Saints.
Yep.
Beating the team 3 times is no easy task, let alone the 2 times that Dallas beat them. So I love the Eagles, though. I mean, Nick Sirianni's done an awesome job. And they're a pesky team. They got a tough running back group, good receivers.
Gritty
Devontae
defense,
Smith
too.
added so much to this receiving room this year because he really gave them a stable guy on the field. And Dallas Goedert's been awesome as well with the departure of Ertz, and he's the only guy there now, so there's no confusion who tight end 1 is, and he's definitely their best receiver. And they won this game the other day without Miles Sanders on the field. They have so many guys that they could use, but they're getting hit with COVID this week, so I'd expect them to be the 7th seed. Because I think Sanford. We'll talk about
all the wild
card. We'll talk about it in a few
hopefuls
minutes with the other wild card games. So we can move on to the bad after a little bit of a weird good there because of the recording and everything that happened. We move on to the Rams.
We carry on.
Yeah, we can move on to the Rams in the bad. We picked the Rams for the rare bad column after a win because they win by 120-19 to Baltimore. Baltimore's a team that's going to miss the playoffs, barring an absolute miracle. And it's just a game that they have to... I love John Harbaugh. We talk about him all the time. It's a game they have to put away, though. Really injured Baltimore team. No Lamar Jackson. You're getting Tyler Huntley again, who's been very respectable, but still not that. It's not a guy that I want to see my playoff team winning by one against. And Matt Stafford, another questionable game, throwing a pick six early, 2 interceptions on the day. He's just kind of been in this, and he fumbled also. So it's just kind of been in this. Is he good enough to? Does he elevate this team that much? This is a team, keep in mind, that's been in the playoffs every year without him. And so I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the Rams. They are not hitting their stride like Cincinnati is, and they are struggling to get wins right now, it seems, even though they've won almost all their games in the last 5-6 weeks.
Yeah, the way the Rams have been playing all season, I would really like to see them to get hot this week and then carry that on to the playoffs. But if Stafford's playing sloppy ball, it's proven that the Rams are not going to win football games. So in my opinion, it really lands on Stafford. You have Ramsey, you have Aaron Donald, you have Von Miller. That defense is going to get you the ball, and it's going to hold opponents to a lower total than you should score as an offense with Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, all these guys. So I think if Stafford can clean up his game, make the simple throws, don't try and be too flashy, I think the Rams can really still do well in the playoffs. But if he doesn't clean himself up now, they're going to have some real big issues going into the playoffs this year.
Yep.
Yeah. Look, the Rams have a Super Bowl defense. We know that. We saw it Sunday. I know it was Tyler Huntley. I know they started a bit rough. But when Matt Stafford's turning the ball over like that and you can still find a way to win, it shows you that they have playmakers. I know Von Miller hasn't done much, but he closed out the game with a big sack on third down, which was very good for them. And Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald. But Matt Stafford's going to cost him a playoff game. That's just as simple as it gets.
Yep.
I don't like Stafford on the road. Yeah, I don't like him away against these NFC teams. I don't think they win in any of the 3 division winners.
It won't be close in Lambeau Field.
Do I think they could beat Tampa? Yes, because they already beat him. But I don't feel great about that. I don't feel great about them beating Dallas. I definitely don't think they're beating the Packers in Lambeau Field. So do I think Matt Stafford's going to cost them a playoff game? Yes. And is it worth it? Was it worth the trade? I mean, that's just a question they're going to have to ask themselves because Jared Goff's probably going to get them to the same point, and they're probably going to lose again this year, and they're going to have no draft picks in the offseason. They're going to have barely any cap space. They'll probably re-sign Odell. There's always a way around the cap. But they're in trouble, really. If they don't win the Super Bowl this year, and if Matt Stafford continues to play this way, they're in trouble. They really are.
And I feel like we say this weekly, but Stafford, he's not good against good teams. It's historically, he's been on the Lions. To me, as a great quarterback, you win football games for your team. You don't play up to your team's standards. So Stafford's got to pick himself up right now. It's going to be bad.
Because look at the other teams just this weekend alone. I know Tom Brady's playing the Jets, but Tom Brady put the team on his back yet again. We've seen him do it numerous times.
67
put the team on his back. Defense
drives.
didn't play great. The Jets' offense was moving the ball all day until late in the second half. Defense definitely stepped up for them. But then we see Aaron Rodgers, and he's probably going to win the MVP again. This is the other quarterbacks in the NFC. It's you and Dak Prescott are out of those four. Those four, I don't see any other teams other than those four coming out of the NFC. I don't see a chance that Arizona, San Fran, New Orleans, or Philadelphia comes out of the NFC.
Arizona's dead. Arizona's
horrible. Dead in the water.
They had a great win. Rams, they had a great win Sunday.
They got the job done, but
Rams have to figure. Rams have to figure this out. Like really quick. I like Cam Akers coming back for them, but the other teams in the NFC are getting reinforcements too. Cam Akers is the smallest of the reinforcements compared to what Tampa and Green Bay is getting back.
And they're still running the ball well even without him. Sony Michel's the leading rusher, I think, in the month of December. So Cam Akers is not going to do much. And I think, unfortunately, the Packers, if Matt Stafford played bad against them last time through a pick six to Rasul Douglas, the next time they play, if they play, Jair Alexander's going to be back there. So it's not getting any easier.
Yeah,
the Packers are one of those teams getting the most reinforcements, too, which is insane.
Yeah, Packers are getting the most reinforcements, and they're far and away the best right now. They're getting the first-round bye. I don't think the Rams can win on the road in the playoffs. I don't know if they match up. I don't know the exact seeding right now. I really should have looked at it before we started. But the Rams end up playing Arizona in the first round of the playoffs, I don't even see them winning that game. I'll be totally honest.
They
with you.
could
They won
lose,
the last
yeah.
time they played.
Yeah,
and if they do win
lose.
it, that's all she wrote for the Rams because you're not beating Tampa Bay or Green Bay.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so move to just the ugliest two individuals. We're not even talking about teams in the ugly. It's two individuals that were so bad this weekend. I will let you guys pick who we start with out of Joe Judge and Antonio Brown.
Let's do AB because he's never coming back to the league anyway. Get him
All right,
out of the way
AB
for
is
now.
who we will start with because he essentially retired with his acts against the Jets on Sunday
You know what's
on
bad,
the
though,
field.
KB? You know what's bad
Yeah.
is that Josina Anderson reported, she said if Antonio Brown wants to play football again, there are teams that will take him back. And Josina Anderson's a good reporter.
She is.
That seems hard to believe, but his talent
He's
is
so
what keeps
good,
him on the
man.
football
He's
field.
so good.
He's so good.
Antonio Brown was still a top 15 wide receiver. If you don't remember the first 6-7 weeks of this season when he was the number one receiver on the Buccaneers, I know that the offense is pretty complex for defenses to handle. There's three guys that are just so great there, and Brown's playing a role, you could argue, that is not as stressful on the defense, and that just let him do whatever he wanted. But he was, in my mind, the best receiver on that team before his
Definitely
COVID
Brady's
issues.
favorite receiver, for sure.
Definitely Brady. Brady loved giving him the ball.
Safety blanket for Brady.
I just think all I take away from this is this guy just needs help, man. Someone's got to get him
something
some
wrong.
help because there's something so wrong here mentally.
Me and my dad were
gonna
just sitting
happen
there
when-
watching this Jets game, and we just stare at each other when we see AB with his
Everyone's
shirt off,
talking
running
today.
off the field with a
I
peace
could
sign.
not
We're like,
believe it. I said to my dad, I'm like, "Oh no, this has to be pregame." I literally said in that moment, "Oh, this has to be pregame."
That was
Him,
the
like,
funniest
hanging out
shit
with
I've
fans.
ever watched.
That
And
was
then they turned
crazy.
back to the game, and I was just like, "What the hell is going on?" He ran
that was
across
one
the
of the
field
funniest
with no
things
shirt
ever.
on during the game. But
Unbelievable
everyone's
that was
talking
even
about-
real.
everyone's talking about 15 winning seasons for Mike Tomlin. How about the 10 he put up with this guy?
yeah,
and made him look
unbelievable.
good.
Unbelievable.
I never heard a
Yeah.
word from Antonio Brown. But then you line up that perfect hit is like the point in the timeline where he was at his peak, and
he
then
fell
it just
off.
went down
CTE.
after that perfect hit. It looked like that is one of the clearest examples of when a player got his head really, CTE really messed up his mind.
KB.
Because
What if the CTE scan of Antonio Brown after he passes away just shuts down the NFL? That might do it because this guy's
he
brain
is
is
at a
so
level
far
of-
gone.
There might not even be
Yeah,
anything
it's
left
so
in
bad.
there. There might be anything left.
He's at the level of guys from Pittsburgh that when CTE was first being established, like Mike Webster, the old center for the Steelers, and just other guys on the team that were the worst cases ever, and they were the first cases. He's at the level of guys, the way he acts, that it seems like he's just never been treated for concussion.
Yeah.
It seems like he never took it properly. It seems like there's some sort of like severe bipolar going on with him. Mentally, I'm genuinely concerned for Antonio
And you
Brown.
could see
I
Mike
mean-
Evans on the sideline trying to calm him down, and he's
Yeah.
not hearing what he's saying.
And then we have multiple stories from Bruce Arians. His stories are totally like kind of crossing up a little bit. You got the people that are saying that they just were sitting him because they don't want him to get his incentives. I think that's ridiculous because the incentive.
That's not true.
First of all, the
$1
teams don't
million
need the money.
total.
The
Come
teams
on.
aren't getting the money if he doesn't get it. It's in his
Doesn't count
contract.
towards the
It's
cap.
for him. The team doesn't. Yeah, exactly. The team does not lose money for Antonio Brown getting these incentives, and they're letting everyone else get theirs. So Antonio Brown loses $3 million. I don't think Bruce Arians is sitting him for that, but Bruce Arians is saying with the ankle thing, and he's saying that he was on a snap count because of his ankle, and then he wouldn't go in because of his ankle. If Antonio Brown wouldn't go in because of his ankle, why would you tell him to leave, and make that the reason that you kicked him out? But I just think that this is the end of repeated offenses by Antonio Brown, that Bruce Arians has just said, enough's enough. We can't do this anymore. This guy's got to go. The vaccine card, him in general. I just think this was the finale of Arians being tired of everything that Antonio Brown does on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I don't know how you let him back into the facility after that. You can't. It's a respect thing. It's an organizational thing. You just can't let someone who disrespects your team like that back in. He was gone the second he did it.
It stinks because personally, I believe that Antonio Brown is the third best receiver of our lifetimes.
He's
behind,
up
there, Randy Moss and Larry
Fitzgerald.
First ballot. I think he's a little bit better than Megatron even.
Easily.
But he's first ballot, and now it's turned into Terrell Owens times 10. In a way that it'll take him a while to get in, and I don't know if you want to spend much more time on it.
Yeah, no,
it was just a weird situation that I never would have saw. It not even surprised me.
This guy's almost frozen his feet off for the Raiders. He almost retired over a helmet. I mean, what do we expect? I will say, though, as bad as it is, like, he doesn't care, so why should anyone else care? There are people who are defending him. I don't know why you are. But that was some of the funniest shit I've ever seen on a football field. I was totally just appalled watching that.
How about the Uber driver cashing in?
Yeah, dude. Crazy.
That guy now is on every
movie.
talk
That will
show.
be on a movie.
He's on every talk show. He's doing every podcast. Now he is cashing in on that Antonio Brown story.
Yeah, I think the worst part of the whole thing is after the game, he does that super gremlin post. Did you guys see that? It's him. So it's him in his game day outfit, and it's just, the caption just says super gremlin. And then I think on his story he put up, "I knew they was in the middle of the game, but I'm super gremlin." And like that's what it's.
He's just got.
I had no words.
He's done.
For maybe the worst nickname
lost.
ever, super gremlin. Okay, well, anyways, let's move on to, if you thought Antonio Brown was the worst performer of the weekend for running across MetLife Field, we're going to talk about the head coach that inhabits MetLife Field when the Jets are not there. Joe Judge was the biggest embarrassment I've ever seen from a head coach this weekend.
Absolutely pathetic.
In his press conference, he was so heated because he knows that regardless of all the reports, he knows that his job is on the line here. He feels the heat from the New York media, and he's saying, I'll just start with this. Do you guys think there's any truth to players in his office now that are impending free agents begging to stay, or players from last year calling him about how bad they want to be back with the Giants? It doesn't make any sense.
No chance.
This guy.
No chance.
He's
just trying to save his ass. He's trying to kiss up to Mara and say everything that Mara wants to hear so he saves his job next year. It's kind of embarrassing, honestly, for the New York Football Giants that were once a very good and respected franchise, and they have this clown running the show now. It's really
Jets,
bad.
The New York Jets have the 4th pick, and the Giants have the 5th, and the Jets are light years ahead of this team, and the Jets suck.
Yeah. How did the Giants even win 4 games?
I was wondering the same thing.
That is an amazing thing, because I tell you what, they get killed by Detroit right now.
The inexcusable performances week in and week out by Joe Judge's Giants. And the part that pisses me off the most about him is he will not assess the problem. I understand you don't want to assess Daniel Jones and his poor performance because he's supposed to be your franchise guy, but it's fucking Mike Glennon. Rip the guy apart and talk about how you have to run the ball because you have negative 11 passing yards against the Bears. He's emotionless.
One of the worst passing
he's dry.
in the NFL.
I don't understand what Joe Judge thinks he's doing. At least show that you want to compete and that you're not content with losing every week and losing horribly. You almost lost by 30 to the Bears. If you let the Bears put up 30 on you...
That was one of the worst games. That might have been the worst loss of the NFL season because, first of all, Dave Gettleman, we know he's terrible. You can't find a serviceable backup in free agency right now.
Clearly
there's
Mike
no one on
Glennon
a
is not the
practice
guy.
squad. The Ravens are picking up Josh Johnson from the Jets practice squad. He's better than Mike Glennon. There's practice squad guys that are better than Mike Glennon around the league. How are you not looking into this? At least start Fromm so you can see maybe Fromm sucked 2 weeks ago. But at least maybe he's a backup quarterback
At least he had positive yards.
Exactly. At least you can tell that maybe this guy could back up next year for us. This is so bad. I can't even believe what I watch from this team. They are by far the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah.
And he keeps doubling down on it too. And one other point I want to make is he was saying the whole plan all along was to run the football all game, but that's clearly not the case because the first play of the game, Mike Glennon drops back for a pass and he gets killed, and then they decided to run the ball every play. He's lying to the media, every day. And the next time he tried to throw, they run it a few times. Barkley gets a few first downs. He dropped on 3rd and 2. Oh, let's try and pass the ball for a first down. Nope, that's a pick.
But as a head coach in the National Football League, you're a head coach in the National Football League.
Calling is
running is not going to work. They will stack in the box and make you throw. That's how the NFL defense works.
Yeah, and you are playing literally the worst pass defense in the NFL in Chicago, and you can't throw the ball. You're -10, -11 net passing yards. I don't know everything that goes into net passing yards, but I just know that's terrible.
It's just sacks, I think. He had 4 completions for 20 yards. I think he got sacked 5 times for -30
I'll tell you for
something.
a fact that Kenny Golladay is not going to sleep every night and saying, "Thank God I signed with the New York Giants." That is not.
Oh my God!
Well, they're not a clown show.
Colossal
and he
mistake
takes that
was.
shot at Washington because De'Aaron Payne and whoever else punched each other on the sidelines. We're not some clown show organization with players punching each other on the sidelines and doing this and that. I mean, I'll give it to him. He still seems to have the locker room, I guess, but this is terrible. I almost want to give him benefit of the doubt. I talked about it a little bit last night with Todd Bowles with the Jets. You have a terrible GM, so you don't have a good roster, and there's nothing you can do with it anyways, but he's just so, there's no competitive spirit from this team.
Yeah, there's nothing.
And then he's the special teams coach. That's Joe Judge is hired as the special teams coach, and the team doesn't field that kick. And it just sits at the 1-yard line, and they got to dive back, and when they get it to the 4, it's as bad as it gets right now for the Giants. It doesn't
get worse for
and he was also taking shots at Pat Shurmur, too, and saying how he has his guys ready to finish strong, and he has the locker room saying that they're going to finish strong, and the past teams haven't done that. But in Pat Shurmur in 2018 and 2019, the Giants were in games at the end. They were playing to win in the end. This is just him. Daniel
Jones looked very good. Pat Shurmur's last year.
Yeah. Yeah,
they were not very good with Eli there,
potential.
and Daniel Jones looked very good with Pat Shurmur there for the final stretch of the season. I thought he was definitely the franchise guy. And now I just wanted 3 things about the Giants right now, and we couldn't even save this for after hours because of how much of a disaster. That's usually where we try to talk Jets and Giants, but this is just such a disaster. Mm-hmm. 3 things about the Giants. 1, how are you going to sign or hire a general manager outside of the organization this year? Or even if I'm Kevin Abrams within, Kevin Abrams, I take it because he sucks and this regime just sucks. But how are you going to hire a serviceable general manager if Joe Judge is your head coach? You can't.
No, it's not possible.
Because no one's coming for that. Nobody's coming for that. And I don't even know what I was going to say next. That just pissed me off so much. That you're just screwing yourselves over already.
We've spent enough time on this feeble organization.
Kevin Abrams is going to he's going to come right up with Gettleman, and it's going to be the same disaster, just different year. And you have a very critical draft this offseason, and a free agency. Oh, my other point is that you have no money. You have no money to work your roster.
Nope.
You're tied down to Leonard Williams for at least another year, to Kenny Golladay for at least another year. This is a disaster. This is so bad.
Adoree Jackson, too.
Adoree Jackson, who at least showed some pride this year.
Yeah.
But you've got so many guys making money. They're probably going to pick up Saquon. They picked up Saquon's in his 5th year right now? No, Saquon's in his 4th year.
No, he's in his 4th right now.
He'll be back.
They already picked up
They'll
his
pick
5th.
him up, yeah.
They picked up his 5th last year, so he won't be a free agent, so he still has another year here. The contracts that the Giants have, it's impossible to even rip this thing down because your cap penalties, you have no money still. The amount of dead cap that you would take on from cutting the big contracts loose, you don't make any money back. So this team they're so dead in the water.
They have to hit on 2 guys in the draft that are going to help them now. This is franchise altering this offseason. They can't screw it up.
This is absolutely
franchise altering. They need Evan Neal, put him at right tackle, and then whoever else you want to take. But they need to hit on these picks because if they don't, the franchise is they already are light years away from a Super Bowl. If they don't, they're going to be even farther.
I think if you start this draft with Joe Judge, it's already in hell. It's already a problem.
Because I said it a couple weeks ago. I want to see from the Jets and Giants and all these crappy teams, and the Lions are in the same boat right now. I want to see the continuity of your new GM and your new head coach. But if you're the Giants and you put a new GM in, the timeline's so messed up. If Joe Judge does suck, which he does, and the GM starts putting together a good team, it's going to get ruined by poor coaching. And then you put yourself into this cycle again where maybe you have a good GM, but let's hire a new head coach. They don't get along together because you hired this GM 2 years before this head coach. they're on different timetables. And it's just this terrible, never-ending cycle that the bad teams put themselves through and bad owners put themselves through. They have to clean it out this year, get everyone on the same time frame. Get a new quarterback or get a bridge quarterback because that's what your coach and GM want, or keep Daniel Jones because that's what your new head coach and new GM want. Just don't get into the cycle, which they're just going into the cycle right now. It's just going to happen. Joe Judge is going to be back. I don't see another way around it.
Ugly. Just ugly.
Very ugly. As ugly as it gets. And to cap it off, I just want to remind you guys, Joe Judge's record is 10-22 in 2 seasons.
Feeble.
There's just no way they can bring him back. There's no way. I think they're forced to fire him. I don't see a way in which the Giants bring him back. I really don't. How can you even do that? How?
You know, if they do bring him back, it just shows that John Mara has just lost everything that Mara once had. 2-time Super Bowl. You know, his dad is just as good as they get in the world of the NFL. John Mara has just totally lost his way of being an owner. And he's getting to that point where he's going to be the worst owner to ever have 2 Super Bowl rings.
Yep.
Yeah, he's terrible. It's really bad.
Let's move on to a different topic. We'll get into that one Saturday as well on After Hours. Fun topic to talk about is the wild card hopefuls going into Week 18.
Yes.
We have the game of the year as far as anticipation for me personally. No, it's not the Week 4 matchup with Brady and Belichick. It is the Chargers and Raiders in Week 18. That game was so annoying.
Yeah.
It's the Chargers and Raiders in Week 18. It's already flexed to Sunday Night Football, right? I'm right about that, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it got flexed to Sunday Night Football. And I am incredibly excited for this game, but we also have teams like the Colts are playing the Jaguars, winning they're in. The Saints are playing the Falcons. They needed a win to get in. The 49ers are hoping for a win to get in as well against the Rams in the afternoon on Sunday. So a lot going on. Either of you could take the floor to start this, and we can start talking about that Chargers-Raiders game.
Yeah, I just want to pray to God that the Saints don't get in because, my God, are they just such a boring football team to watch. But I really am interested to see this Chargers-Raiders game. If I had to guess based off of just lineups, I would think the Chargers would win, but this is a John Madden game for the Raiders. They're at home, and the Raiders fans haven't had a lot to cheer for, and they're going to show.
A great win.
Yeah, a great win, and I think they're going to show up. So this game could go either way. I would lean Raiders, honestly, just because of the home field and how hyped up that team's going to be, but it's going to be a crazy game. It's the most meaningful game of the season, so I'm really excited to watch that one. I will have a nice bucket of popcorn with me for that.
Yeah, and how about the Raiders this year with everything that they've gone through, still being
there.
Here for Week 18? Yeah. Really, just commendable job.
Rich Bisaccia has done a great job with this team.
Yeah,
they bought in. I know the plan for them is to still probably hire a coach in the offseason, but
absolutely,
it's not the worst if he comes back because he has the locker room. The Raiders are going in the right direction. Hopefully, we'll see what they do with Derek Carr, but they're getting Darren Waller back this week, at least in the short term. They're going to try to make the playoffs. And if you get in, anything can happen. This is a toss-up for me. Yep. I think this is as close to as it gets to being a toss-up. I like the Raiders to at least cover their 3-point dogs at home, which is, I think, good value for a team fighting for the playoffs at home, Sunday Night Football. But it would not shock me if the Chargers won. I'd actually prefer probably to see the Chargers win just because I'd like to see Herbert in the playoffs over the Raiders. But to me, this one doesn't matter. Very excited. And I'll touch on the 49ers and Saints before I hand it over to you, KB. I'd obviously rather see the 49ers get in. I think the Rams might beat them, and I think the Saints might win, but I feel like the Falcons could beat the Saints. So I could see a scenario where the Niners and Saints lose and the Niners still get in, probably as it would be the 7th seed, and the Eagles would be the 6th seed. Either way, I don't really want to see the Saints in the playoffs unless they're playing the Bucs, because unless they're playing the Bucs, they don't show up, and they've already beat them twice, and they're not beating them a third time.
Yeah, and just to touch on this, because they're still there, the Ravens need to beat Pittsburgh, and they need the Chargers, Colts, Dolphins, and Cleveland to lose. So, super long shot for the Ravens. Most likely not going to happen, but it's football, you never know. Just to throw in all the wild card hopefuls in there.
Yeah, and going through the just the conference standings right now so that I know...
Titans got the 1 seed back, too. Good win over the Dolphins,
Titans have the 1 seed back. We're definitely going to break that one down next week and a little bit in the power rankings. But if the Raiders and Colts both win, the Raiders end up the 7 seed in the AFC, so they would play the Chiefs for the third time in the wild card round because the Chiefs would be the 2 seed, and the Chiefs have beat them twice. So I don't want to see those teams play for the third time this year.
Yeah, me neither.
Neither. I'd rather see the Chiefs and Chargers
That would
play
be
again.
I love those games. Those games are always good, though.
It would be,
so either way, we're probably seeing the Chiefs play a team for a third time.
A division rival
Unless,
for the
of
third
course,
time.
we have the tie scenario with the Colts losing.
It would be wrong of us to not mention the tie scenario just as a podcast. It would be absurd. Obviously, the Colts are not losing to the Jaguars.
I would love to see it.
But if it
I would love to see
happened,
it.
imagine how electric it would be if the Chargers and the Raiders just decided to knee it out all game and just tie.
Through OT, the whole 15-minute or 10-minute OT.
You know what? It would be, like I said, it would be wrong, but whatever the tie is, the tie on FanDuel or Fliff, wherever you can get it,
Throw that down.
It would be wrong of us not to at least mention a possible tie. Just a little sprinkle.
That would be fantastic.
Oh my God.
That would just cap off one of the wildest NFL seasons.
Yeah, I was talking.
We're heading towards that, dude.
This is one of the most wild seasons I've ever seen.
We saw a player run across the field with no shirt on, a first ballot Hall of Famer, and retire in the middle of this game where he could still be at his prime for all we know. I mean, this guy's still sick, and we saw that it's just shaping up for these guys to tie.
It would be great. I would
imagine. It would be the biggest cap off on the most wild season.
This is the most wild NFL season of football I've experienced in my life. Easily.
Yeah, so many upsets. There's games all over the place on Tuesday. Last year games were on Wednesday. Now this week, I didn't even know we had games on Saturday and then a bunch on Sunday.
I didn't know that either.
So that's great. We have a Monday night playoff game this year, which sucks for every team that wins because they're on a short week. But that's new. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I mean, this NFL
what a wild year, boys.
Wild.
I'm also reading.
Pleasure.
I'm reading right now just because we talked about Antonio Brown today. Adam Schefter just said that the receiver hasn't actually showed up on the NFL's waiver wire, so the Bucs have not released him officially yet.
He's gone though. He's gone.
I think he's gone too. But it's just something worth noting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we can move on to our power rankings. Very excited for these. Making good time today on the show.
Oh, wait. I did want to touch on one more thing. So the Steelers can also get in if the Colts lose and the Raiders and Chargers tie, which would be – that just adds another element to that.
I think they would just probably – wouldn't they just need the Colts to lose?
Well, I think they would need the Colts to lose
they needed to avoid a tie. Yeah, they need to avoid a tie in that
they need to avoid a tie.
Can you imagine being a Steelers
It's just
fan?
tough because the Colts –
oh, that's so bad.
We're sitting here, we're like –
If the Colts lose to the Jaguars on 1 o'clock Sunday, all hell
that
is
they
going
probably
to be the
will because I made that first offseason preview and I said it. We're safe, but they're probably going to lose. The Jaguars are probably going to beat them, and the Jaguars are the second pick, and I already did this offseason preview with them at the first pick.
I thought I saw that stat that the Colts haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014.
That is correct.
No.
That is correct.
There's just no way that's real, but if it is
real. I looked it
how
up.
does it not end Sunday?
I mean, come on.
How?
Yeah, because they lost week 1 last year. That was the Jaguars'
only one.
Yeah, that was the Jaguars' one win.
Oh, no.
Wild.
If the Colts don't get in, this is the greatest team to ever miss the playoffs. Wait, now it seems inevitable that
it almost seems too inevitable that it's not going to happen. Like, it's just like, there's no way.
The Steelers get in?
The Steelers can get in.
Big Ben gets another game.
What if Big Ben wins a Super Bowl in his final season?
Imagine if the Steelers get in the playoffs.
Oh, my God.
No one's even considering
considering it.
Throughout all of yesterday, everyone's like,
everyone's
Big
talking
Ben's
about
final
the
home
Chargers
game.
and Raiders tying on Sunday night. We can't
they
talk
forget
about
if the Colts lose, the Steelers get in.
Yeah.
Wow, this is amazing.
It can happen. It can happen.
Darrell Bevel's first win as Jaguars interim head coach. Trevor Lawrence finishes his rookie season knocking the Colts out of the playoffs. I wouldn't rule it out. Crazier things have happened. We saw about 75 crazier things happen on Sunday alone.
We saw the Jags beat the Bills at one point.
Yeah, Jags beat the
what
Bills.
A wild.
Wow, the Colts are going to get killed on Sunday. This is going to be...
If the Colts lose Sunday, I will just be in utter shock.
Oh
I would love to see
this
it.
is going to be a blowout.
As much as I like the Colts, I would love to see just the entire NFL just go into flames.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great for business. Okay, so we move on now. We have power rankings. Steelers are getting in the playoffs too. You heard it here first. And the Colts are losing to the Jaguars on Sunday.
We knew this already.
But we go to our power rankings. Would anybody like to start?
I could start.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll start. So I don't know. I know, KB, you really like where your power rankings are this week.
I'm shaky on
I'm
mine.
interested to hear your guys, but this is just what I have, and obviously my list is not the right list. So
Mine is.
I'm open for suggestions. KB, you say yours is. I don't know how I feel about this, but I'm just gonna go. At 10, I'm gonna have the Colts coming off that loss to the Raiders. I still think they're a good team. Like we said, they might lose to the Jaguars this week, so you never know. But they're in my top 10 still, just because we had such respect for them the last few weeks. At 9, I have the Cowboys. I don't know how well they're going to be able to play in the playoffs against the other good NFC teams because we saw them lose to the Cardinals Sunday. So that's worrisome for me. Then speaking of Cardinals, I have them at 8. I don't see them going anywhere, but I think they're still a good team. Without D-Hop, hard to see them winning many playoff games. At 7, I have the Bengals. I really love the Bengals, but unfortunately I think that there's still a few AFC teams better than them. I have the Bills next. I think the Bills' offense is clicking. I know they played the Falcons. They struggled a bit, but it was in the snow. I still think the Bills are a very good team. Then I have the Rams at 5. Stafford's going to cost them a game, but if they have such a good defense, I think they're the 5th best team in the NFL. 4, I have the Bucks. Still the Bucks. Doesn't matter who they're missing. They're going to be a tough out in the playoffs. 3, Titans with Derrick Henry. I think the Titans are the 3rd best team. The next time we see them fully, we're going to see them Sunday against the Texans, and then in 2 weeks we'll probably see them with Derrick Henry. So I think like they could win the AFC.
Yeah.
I really think they're that good. They have a solid defense. They have good weapons on offense. At 2, I have the Chiefs. The Chiefs, and at 1, I have the Packers, who locked up the NFC's number 1 seed and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They're going to be a tough out. I know they lost last year, but it was with 10,000 in Lambeau this time. The Bucs aren't going to be that fortunate when they have to go for the NFC Championship game in Lambeau Field. I will say I did forget the Patriots.
I was going to ask.
I realized that about halfway through. When I got to the Bills, I was like, where the hell did I put the Patriots? And they're just not on there, so they're in there somewhere. I think they're a top 10 team. Like I said, I put this together quick last minute. So I'm interested to hear your guys' list, though.
All right, I could jump in for mine here. I just want to give the honorable mention to the Bengals. I did not find a way to get them in. Their defense does not encourage me. And like I said, I think that, and we all agree, I think, this AFC is anyone's game. And this postseason for the AFC, anyone can win any game. Anyone can come out of it.
I really like the Titans.
I do too.
The
moved
Titans
up
take a
heavily
big
for
jump
me this
in mine
week.
because it's to be noted that Derrick Henry's coming back. But I go number 10. I go with the Patriots. They just edged Cincinnati for me, probably because of Belichick and the defense. Then I go. But right now, I will say, I don't know who wins that game. I have no confidence in either of those two teams if they found each other in the playoffs. Then I have 9, the Cardinals, who are totally slumping. They sat at 1-2 for everyone up until about 4 weeks ago, and they have totally dropped out of that top 3. Then I have the Colts at 8. I think it would be a shame if they missed the playoffs. We were just talking about that. Bills are my 7. They're starting to find their stride. Cowboys at 6, that's the one I'm not totally comfortable with just because they have not – their defense has been very good, opportunistic defense. They score a lot of points on defense, but their offense has been very concerning. They, I think, should have won the game if that fumble gets reviewed on Sunday.
Yeah.
They should have won that football game. They didn't. It was a good game. They were sloppy, though, in the beginning. Titans are my 5. With Derrick Henry coming back, you got to remember this team is the 1 seed. They've played great without Henry. They played good without Henry, good enough to win games. And with Henry coming back and everyone healthy, if they can get that first-round bye, that is very big for this Titans team and not good for the rest of the AFC. Rams are my 4, too talented to keep out of here. 3, Buccaneers. JD, like you said, no matter what their roster looks like, Tom Brady's there. It's a tough out. Chiefs at 2, Packers at 1. So I switched my 1 and 2 from last week.
All right, so at number 10, I have the Colts. I did want to actually give an honorable mention. I don't have the Cards in my top 10. Personally, I think they're done.
Okay.
They're just not
That's
impressive
fair.
for me,
That's
so I
definitely fair.
dropped them out this week. So at 10, I have the Colts. 9, I have the Pats. 8, I have the Cowboys. 7, I have the Bills. 6, I have the Bengals, which for me this week was huge for the Bengals. They jumped up a lot, but Jamar Chase and Burrow, that connection doesn't seem stoppable, so I really like them at 6. Then I got the Rams at 5, too talented to drop them any lower than that. The Titans at 4, getting Derrick Henry back, that's just huge. Vrabel's the coach of the year, in my opinion, especially with doing all this without Derrick Henry getting the job done. It's only going to get easier for them. And then I'm going to have the Bucs at 3, Chiefs at 2, and the Packers at 1.
I will say, so I've been thinking about it while listening to you guys. I'm going to throw the Pats at 7 under the Bills and bump every other team down, so the Colts will be 11 for me. Cowboys 10, Cardinals 9, Bengals 8, just so I could fix that mistake that I had for the Patriots. But I want to mention quick before we sign off here that we did talk quickly about the Packers before getting Jair Alexander back. It will be interesting to see what they do this week. I know Aaron Rodgers and Devontae both said that they want to play. Because the last time, I think it's just a little bit of a PTSD scenario where they were the 1 seed, rested everyone, lost to the Giants in the divisional round. LaFleur said he's not comfortable giving his guys 3 weeks off, but we may, even if we don't see Rodgers and Adams, we may see David Bakhtiari this week, which would be huge, get him a few snaps. And they've got their rookie center Josh Myers coming back. They've got Randall Cobb coming back. They've got Jair Alexander coming back. Big Z, I'm not too sold on him coming back, but if he does, that would be insane. The Packers are already the best team in football as it stands now. If they're getting 3 All-Pros back, how does this team not come out of the NFC?
I think that's given.
I think that they have to come out of the NFC, and I'll say it. I thought last year they were a lock to do it. I thought they were far better.
This is a different team. It's a better team.
I still do. The defense is a lot better, but I feel like I felt that way last year. I feel like 3 years ago, I did not think the Packers were that good. The Packers first of this 13-3 run, I did not think they were a 13-3 team. I would have told them, 10-6, 11-5, as far as if you want a record to reflect your team. Last year, I thought this is a really, really good team. This year, I think, once again, this team's better, this team's different. I got to see it. Unfortunately, I hate to say it. I think they're going to come out of the NFC. I'll preface with that. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae in the NFC Championship hasn't been Aaron Rodgers and Devontae. You get to the NFC Championship, you're good enough to stop them. I still think that they lack a little bit of depth in that receiving core. I do. I think that
getting Randall Cobb back is massive.
It's very big for them
because that is Rodgers' second go-to guy.
Yeah, and I think that not having a guy like Tanyan all year hurts them. I think he was a very big loss. Mercedes Lewis is not that good. But I think Antonio Brown,
great blocker. Mercedes
very
Lewis
good
does
blocker,
his job
very good blocker,
well.
good tight end too for a contending team. He blocks. You can put him out there for all the run plays and pass plays as an extra protector. I think the loss of Antonio Brown and Robert Woods evens the playing field a ton. And Michael Gallup now in Dallas. Everyone's down a receiver, so I think it evens it a lot. But the Packers, they got to do it this year.
Yeah,
everyone's healthy.
I will say, KB, I want to agree with you. 2019 was all about just get a shot at the Niners. Maybe you can pull off a big upset. Obviously, that didn't happen. 2020 was about, okay, this is the first time in 10 years that we've gotten home field in the playoffs. But there were also no fans, which I still didn't think would be that big of a difference. Now I think it's a huge difference. If they're watching with fans again, you realize how much they're missed. But last year I will say I was worried about playing the Bucs. This year I'm still worried about every game, but not as much so. I think the Packers have grown and are a better team this year, even though I did think last year that was the year. But I have to say this year I feel better.
I'd be praying. Reese, you go.
I just wanted to say, my biggest concern for the Packers, it's always been that NFC Championship game, and as good as Rodgers is, we haven't seen much from him in these championship games, and.
But he always plays. Last year he
plays well. But
he plays well, but not good
enough.
Guy we he's not Rodgers all year
to January, which is there's something to be said about. Obviously, it's the playoffs. You're playing the best teams in the league. It's not playing Minnesota in the regular season in Detroit like he does. But I will say this: if I'm Green Bay,
have to win
for Tampa Bay to go somewhere else for the divisional round.
I always have.
You need them to get. You need Tom Brady to be out because he's the only cold weather quarterback out of this group.
Yep.
He's the only cold weather guy.
KB, as it stands right now, if Tampa stays in the 2 or the 3, assuming they don't lose this weekend, which is always a tough assumption considering how they played against the Jets, if they don't lose, the Packers are guaranteed to not play them until the championship game because it is impossible for the 1 seed to play the 2 or the 3 no matter what happens.
That's your best
that
hope.
is great news. The most likely scenario, I feel like, is a Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers matchup in Lambeau Field. If the Cowboys can get past the first round, we'll see if that even happens.
I'll say this,
but that'd be electric.
And my closing on Green Bay for the playoffs, we'll talk a ton more about it next week once the seeding's all locked in. I look at the NFC, and I look at it's very different from the AFC. You don't have the Bills, the Titans, the Chiefs, the Patriots, all teams that could play anywhere, any conditions. You have teams like Dallas, Arizona, LA. These are indoor teams. Tampa Bay's the only one that scares me because we know Tom Brady can do
Tom
it
Brady.
in the cold, obviously. Lambeau Field's not going to face Tom Brady.
His supporting cast, I know they won last year in Lambeau, but it wasn't a Lambeau day like it was Sunday night.
No.
If they get what it was Sunday night this year, where it's below 0 wind chill, as good as Tom Brady is in the cold,
that's too cold.
The rest of the team is not from New England. The only other one is Gronkowski.
Yeah. But hey,
they're still
all
Tampa
Bay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yes,
sometimes. But let's just put just put it how it is. I feel like we're dancing around this, including myself. We talk all this talk about Lambeau Field. The Packers have to find a way to play a better game in the NFC Championship. That's it. They haven't done it in 3 years.
Yep.
That's it.
That's where you draw the line. They got to
talk
play
about
better.
it a lot more next week. I'm really excited for Week 18. First ever Week 18. I mean, how could you not get excited for this? This is going to be great.
I mean, I can't wait until Sunday night when we just know
we know
the playoff matchups are set.
And Monday night
glorious.
is still Arizona-Seattle, right?
Monday, I don't think there's a Monday night
game.
Oh,
there's not. That was the Sunday
night. It's just two Saturdays.
Because that was the Sunday. That was the Sunday prior to the flex. So we'll know everything by Sunday night. We'll be very excited. I'm pumped up for this Sunday. This Sunday's going to be great. They flexed the game of the week. Also got flexed. Jets are at 4:30. So that's good for the NFL viewers.
Yeah.
All right. You guys got anything else you want to?
Yeah, no. I was going to mention something about the lines, but I'll just save that for the lock it in.
All right, beautiful. And also, we wanted to talk Baker Mayfield today, but I'm going to cut it before we do. I mean, he sucks. We know that. We'll talk about him on After Hours.
Carry on.
John, you got something? Or no, you're good?
You know what? I'll say check out KB's off-season preview for the Jaguars if you haven't.
It's great stuff.
Even if you're not a Jaguars fan, he's going to be doing every team. It's great stuff.
Yeah, it was
a very good video.
Make sure to check out the Lock It In, too. I mean, you guys, not your best week this weekend.
No, previously we were doing well.
But previously, I mean, it was a stretch of multiple weeks.
We'll be back.
Really, really good
One more
stuff.
full slate. One more full slate, and then in the playoffs,
we got it.
I
feel like it's a great time to listen to you guys. It'll be very, you never know in the playoffs, but condensed schedule. You're looking into this stuff a lot harder. There's not as much to look into. So, really good day today, guys. Happy to be back. It's good stuff, and hopefully for the next few months we have no more disruptions.
Yep.
Yes.
Thanks for watching. Check out, as always, social media in the description, and make sure to subscribe.
Peace.